Good afternoon to everyone present here. Myself, Ms. Elena Parui, faculty member of Science Department of Mahadevi Birla World Academy, warmly welcome you all to the online event of job shadowing with our expert guest speaker today, Ms. Renita Shaha. As education continues to adapt to new expectations from students, experiential learning is gaining importance. While learning through observation and through their interaction with the environment, students get an opportunity to reflect and conceptualize independently, leading to holistic development. Job shadowing is one such method of experiential learning where we have the privilege of reaching out to qualified and successful professionals in their chosen fields of expertise and information to share with the students of our institution using the virtual platform. I now request Sneha Sinha to kindly continue with the further proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to each and everyone present here with us today. I shall now be proceeding with the session by giving a brief introduction about our speaker for the day, Ms. Renita Shaha. Ms. Shaha is currently a PhD candidate in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, USA. She obtained her Bachelor in Technology from National Institute of Technology, Durgapur, India in 2018. She has previously worked as a research intern at the European Council for Nuclear Research, Geneva, Switzerland in the summer of 2017. Her primary research interest includes designing and fabrication of brain stimulation implants for the treatment of neurological disorders. She has also been awarded the Women in Technology Scholarship by Cadence Design Systems for her contributions in science and technology. This is a recognition given to less than 15 women across all universities in the US and Canada. Congratulations, Ms. Shah, and a very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. I would now request you to please enlighten us with a few words about your current work life.
Thank you, Sneha, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you, Mahadevi Birla World Academy, for inviting me here on the occasion of Expert Speak and Job Shadowing. And to be frank, I'm not an expert in my field. Even I'm a student and I'm still learning. And when I was asked to give this talk while on a vacation in India for about 5 weeks, and I was like, well, I love giving talks and why not take this one? And that's how I started thinking about what to say in this talk, because I was told that to talk about my journey and to 18-year-olds, and I am just probably 7 to 8 years older to all of you here. And so I'm just telling, I'm not an expert here, but I just thought to give the title of this talk as Things I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, just because there were several things I didn't know. No one told me. And I just wished someone like 7 to 8 years older to me had told me when I was 18, such that I was prepared to face the consequences that I had faced. So these are all the major institutions or organizations I worked at or I was linked with throughout my life. And I'm glad that each one of them played an important role in shaping my career, shaping my personality, and shaping the way I look at the world today. So with this, I would like to start my journey, and then I'm open to all questions that every one of you might have. So I passed my class 10th board exam from Carmel High School in 2012. And I was in Carmel High School throughout since LKG. And all I can remember was I was this short girl who always stood in the front line of all physical education classes. But I was a good swimmer. So most of the time until my class 10th, I would either find myself in the water or on stage, where I was where I was trained in the Indian Classical Dance Odyssey with 13 years of formal training there. And I still have continued to pursue dance, but I don't swim professionally now, but I still take swimming as one of my stress busters. I do swim like 3 to 4 times a week now, just to such that I don't get fat in these lockdown days. And so that's all my class 10 till class 10. That's all I did throughout my class 10. And I don't remember coming first in class. I was a very average student. As I said, I always found myself in water or on the stage, and I never missed a chance to bunk my school classes in the excuse that I had a program the next day. So even my school was also very supportive. They were like, okay, you have a program, you have an inter-school dance competition, go ahead, do the rehearsals. So I was always there. And then I did pass my class 10 board exam with 89%. And I was like, and it was Madhyamik or state board. And then I changed my school to Pattabhavan. And the reason here I changed my alma mater to Pattabhavan was that in Carmel, I didn't like the time, the entire time span that I had to devote to school. And unlike the class 11 and 12, in the past 2 years, ours was an in-person school, and dedicating like 8 to 10 hours for school was like too much, and it would interact with all my coaching sessions that came later in the evening. So instead, I joined Pattabhavan, which gave me the flexibility to continue. Hello? Okay. So instead, I joined Pattabhavan in 2012, which gave me the flexibility to pursue some of my passions. As you can see that I used to take part in plays, and this one is me. I was dressed as Hanuman from Ramayana, the smaller one of Hanuman from Ramayana, and in the play by Sukumar Ray, Lakshman and Shaktishil. And I always kept myself busy. I was crazy because, and 11, 12 is you're supposed to be crazy with all subjects like physics, chemistry, maths, and biology. And since I was from the state board, I also had English and Bengali. And luckily in 2014, and all I remember in those 2 years was I was a nerd. I studied. So I see my sister, and she's always like, she's studying for a bit. She's enjoying YouTube for a bit. But all I remember myself in those 2 years was I was stuck in a room studying. And whenever I got the opportunity to perform on stage, I did that. And I did nothing else. So I ranked 29th in the state board with 100 in physics. I still don't know how I obtained that. But physics and mathematics were my favorite subjects. I do not want to comment on chemistry because chemistry was something, like inorganic and organic parts I never understood. The physical part I liked, but biology was something I hated. And even I didn't know why I took biology. But probably because my father told me that, okay, you might have a chance of becoming a doctor. So why not take biology? And until class 10th, I liked biology. Like I didn't have that aversion towards biology. Okay, why study biology? I wasn't like that. So that's why you see these smileys out here in the brackets. And biology was something I started hating in my 11, 12. But life had different plans for me, as you'll be seeing in the upcoming slides. So in 2014, again, I took my joint entrance exam. Again, here I want to say that I had no plans of becoming an engineer. All I wanted to do was I wanted to study physics honors. And in fact, I got admitted to St. Xavier's College. I pursued 2 weeks of classes there. And honestly, I didn't like the way physics was being taught there. So I joined Jadavpur University for a day in physics, and in all colleges, since I had 100 in physics, 98 in maths, and some 95 plus score in chemistry, I always used to rank in the top 5 in all college admission lists. And like getting admitted in any general science college was something I wasn't afraid of in 2014. And I easily got through Xavier's, I easily got through Jadavpur, but I didn't like the atmosphere of Jadavpur, the general science department there either. And so that's when I decided, okay, let me see how my JEE mains went. And that's how I found myself in NIT Durgapur, but that is another story, which I'm coming in the next slide. So as I told to some of the faculty members here that I tried to keep this talk interesting and funny with some of the boring slides, maybe 3 to 4. I have some boring slides out here, and this is one of them. So here, many of the students asked me like what was my state rank or like all India rank in my JEE. So this box is the summary wherein WebG, I sat for medical, which was physics, chemistry, and biology, and my state rank was approximately 1,500. I do not remember the exact rank. The WebG engineering, which was physics, chemistry, maths, the state rank was approximately 2,000. As I said, I never went to any MCQ coaching centers. It was just, I just enjoyed studying physics, chemistry, maths, and I just went and did those OMR pointing outs and all. I never took any formal training. And JEE mains, I was the first batch in 2014 where they divided into probably first batch or second batch, which I don't remember. It was divided into two, JEE mains and JEE advanced. So JEE, I think it's the same right now. And physics, it was 3 papers, physics, chemistry, maths. And in JEE mains, I remember the All India rank clearly because I had to use that for the next 4 years of my life. It was 11,318, and my state rank was 327. And JEE advanced, I remember I sat for the exam, but I honestly don't remember my rank. It was so bad. So, so here's my summary of all the exams that I took and how these exams are important for all the future universities, because I think most students in this talk are in their +2 right now. So WebG scores are actually important, really important if you want to stay in West Bengal and study for state-funded institutions like Jadavpur University, IEM, Heritage. And here again, IEM, Heritage, they are private engineering colleges, but Jadavpur University is not. Excuse me. So, and JEE main scores are important for centrally funded institutions such as NIT, IIST, NISER, ISER. And this is something which I didn't know in my +2. It was NISER and ISER. These 2 institutions are centrally funded, and they actually they actually help in, they are actually very good for general line study. Like if you want to study, if you want to get a bachelor's degree in physics or chemistry or mathematics, NISER and ISER are very good places. And many of my colleagues back in USA, they have gotten a 4-year degree from NISER and ISER. And JEE advanced scores are really important for IIT if you want to study general sciences in IIT or engineering. And I also remember I sat for the KVPY exam, and it was just an important scholarship to study basic science courses at IISc, ISER, and NISER. So, so this is just a summary of all the exams that you might be facing. There are also several architecture exams for those interested in studying architecture. For that, you need to pass NATA. So enough of boring talks, and then next, why I am into NIT. And as I said, I forgot my JEE advanced score and JEE advanced rank, but I remember my counseling, the way I passed my counseling for my JEE mains. So I saw my JEE mains rank, and I told my dad that, okay, I want to study at NIT. My dad said, okay, NIT means hostel. I won't let you go to hostel. Then there was a huge convincing phenomena that happened at my home, and he agreed that, okay, I will allow you to go to hostel, but it has to be somewhere near to home. So I had to settle. So he was the one who helped me put these slots. So I probably had 10 slots in the first counseling which I could fill. And with my rank, I could have gotten into some other NITs, maybe better, maybe not. but my dad like put these EC and IT Durgapur, CSE and IT Durgapur. I was just like arranging. These were not even the final ones, and these six were the choices there, and it was like at 11 p.m. in the night on a monsoon day, like in July or August. I was filling up my form for JEE mains counseling. And my sister, she was how much? She was in probably class 5 or 6 then. She came and told me that, "Na, diya hostel jabe na." Meaning she does no, I won't let my sister go and study in the hostel or go away to a faraway hostel, faraway college. And she pressed this enter button. And so this entire counseling choices, these first 6 counseling choices, I still had 4 more slots to fill up. It got locked, and this was my counseling choices that finally got stuck. I had no other choice, no other option to give. And so and luckily my JEE mains rank was such that I got my first counseling choice. That was EC at NIT Durgapur, and that's how I settled there. That's how I started my engineering degree there. So this is me in 2014. This is exactly the first day my parents left me at my hostel. And in 2014, I was just 18 years old then. And this is also in my first year with my friends in front of my department. And the below row is in 2018. This was my last day in hostel. And this is my hostel room, which was empty. I had packed everything out of my hostel. And like, there's a saying in Bengali, there's like Bengali or my community or any other people you talk in our community, they'll say that, okay, pass your 10th, you will lead a very good life. Pass your 12th, like take science, pass your 12th, enter an engineering college, you will lead a wonderful life, because as if in engineering, if you just enter, you'll get a job and you'll just, like, you know, everything will be thrown at you. Cars, a house, wife. In our case, I don't know, husbands, I don't know, but everything will be thrown at you. It's engineering is taught in this way. I think the same goes for medical. Study engineering or study medical. Everything just goes like, it's just thrown at us. But I assure you, these 4 years taught me that engineering is not the end. It's clearly not the end. And yes, one thing is that compared to general line or compared to physics honors or chemistry honors courses, like engineering is far, far easy. You literally don't have to study anything. Like I don't remember studying the first 2 years of my engineering. Like during my semester exams, I used to go to the Xerox shop and tell the Xerox, the uncle who used to do Xerox, and I used to tell him that, where are the notes for this year? And tell my year. This is a 6th semester Xerox notes. And he used to give me those Xerox notes, and I used to study them before the exam, pass my exams, and that was it. In engineering, you literally don't need to do anything. But then again, I'm glad I realized this quite early on in my degree. Like it was in my second year probably that I realized that maybe engineering is not all about studying just rote learning some mathematical formulas and just writing them in the exams. It's probably something more. Maybe I should just use this time to develop my skills. So maybe I should use this.
Please be on mute. The others, the audience should be mute. Please be mute.
Okay, so maybe I thought that maybe I should really use the remaining 2.5 or 2 years that I have in my engineering to actually improve my skills. So I'm coming in the upcoming slides. I'll tell you what I did throughout my engineering instead of studying for exams. But here in this slide, I would like to point out that when I left hostel, so it's that day where everyone cries, whether you're a girl or you're a boy. once you study once you live in a hostel after 4 years, like when you see that empty room, you cry, because no matter how bad or how good your college life was, but hostel life is something different. And I learned about hostel life from Enid Blyton books or from Harry Potter. And probably that's why I was so enthusiastic about going to a hostel at NIT Durgapur. But then again, I realized that hostel life is something different. And if you have not lived there, despite the bad mess food and all, engineering hostel lives or any hostel life, they're something different, but make sure you know how to use it. So as I said, 2 years later, I realized that I really need to do something other than rote learning mathematical formulas for my engineering degree. So during my engineering degree, so in 2016, towards my summer 2016, when I was probably doing some research internship at Jadavpur University. I'll tell you how to apply for those later in another boring slide later. So this is one of the interesting slides where Tata Center for Technology and Design, which is a group at IIT Bombay, they had this event named Drishtikon, where you had to give ideas about solving real-time problems. So it can be any innovative ideas which has probably not been proposed by any part of the world. And it was a teamwork. And that's how I came up with this idea where I proposed a smart chair for telehealth operations. And I had to portray this idea in the form of a poster, and that poster needed to be hand-drawn, as you can see me painting over here. So before this night, it was an effort of probably 12 to 14 hours, and the whole night I was awake at the IIT Bombay premises. And it was at that night I realized, okay, I am an engineer. I am studying to be an engineer, but okay, I can also paint. The presentation and everything. We won the runner-up there, and we won 25,000 rupees. And believe it or not, as a second-year engineering student, winning 25,000 rupees is a lot. So we were really happy. And luckily, my experience was actually published at Internshala blog at Your Internship Story. And you can just click this link and go and read about my entire experience there. So whatever I told is basically summarized there. And this is how, this was literally my first exposure to the entire world, traveling alone from Kolkata to Bombay in a train. And that involved my parents like thinking that I'll leave her alone for such a long distance. And luckily they did. And thankfully they did. So yeah, that's how it all started. And once this happened, like IIT Bombay kept on calling me that how do you want to proceed with this idea? Do you have any chances of developing an actual prototype or anything like that? So that's when, like in the next 2 years, I still had 2 years of my degree left. And that's when I started writing. I co-founded and I acted as a CTO, or Chief Technical Officer, for a healthcare startup named WeCare. And I am no longer a part of WeCare, but honestly, this WeCare consisted of the same idea where I was proposing a smart chair for telehealth purposes. And if you sit on this chair, within 10 minutes, we promised that we would give, we would monitor your primary healthcare parameters in like 10 minutes. And just imagine, like if we would have continued like since 2016 to now, how helpful it would have been in times of this pandemic, where telehealth platforms are actually ruling the world. And so this was our first prototype that we had built. And this is how messy everything when you start from scratch actually looks like. And this is me pitching the idea in front of angel investors at IIT Kharagpur. This was at IIM Calcutta, and it was featured by Times Now, if I'm not so wrong. And this was again at an event at IIT Bombay, where I was again invited for a mentors meet. And by pitching and with the preliminary prototype, like we raised about INR 3 lakhs in the form of just prize money. And that just helped us build the prototype. And it gained recognition from various other sources like Times Now, Digital Impact Square, Tata, Empresario, Tata Center. These were all the sources that helped us fund and popularize the idea. But then obviously I realized that 3 lakhs money is not a huge amount for building the prototype and commercializing it. And I eventually realized that I have to think about something else. So that's how, like, it was an enjoyable experience for 2 years, and it did boost my CV. It still boosts my CV. It's a very good conversation starter for my potential future employers that I did have a startup. But yeah, it was something that failed, but again, something I would like to say that it didn't fail because it built who I am today. And my current PhD, and in fact, this is something that helped me pursue a career in healthcare again. And if you remember, back in 11, 12, I hated biology. And this was something that again reconnected me to biology, where now I am currently working actively in the field of biology. But this was the connecting link between me hating biology and me again working on biology for probably the rest of my life. And that's how it happened. So the next section is the foreign research internships. So once you pursue an engineering degree, you have to do an internship or vocational training in your 3rd year summer. So between your 3rd year and 4th year summers, it's compulsory for every engineering college you are in. And by my 3rd year, I had realized corporate jobs are just not for me. I cannot sit in front of the computer for like 12, 13 hours a day and just code. I realized that. And I had to do something exciting. I had to build something with my own hands. And that's how I found myself, I found these options like for foreign research internship. And this is another boring slide, I tell you. So this is the 3rd year summer engineering. You can apply for all of these foreign internship opportunities. DAAD, which is between Germany and India, Charpak, which is extremely competitive. Only 29 candidates each year get selected. It's between France and India. MITAX is between Canada and India. CERN Open Lab is between CERN and India. SNBOS is between USA and India. But in SNBOS, I think you probably need to be rank 1 in your engineering class. Viterbi internship is between USC and India. Khorana is only for those pursuing biology or biomedical sciences. That's again USA and India. And both, these are all foreign internships, but in 2nd and 3rd year summer engineering courses, IITs, all IIT research labs, they love to host undergraduate students from other colleges. All you need to do is email. All you need to do is find professors from the websites. IITs, NITs, all of them have websites, and those websites are really bad, I would say, because they are not so informative. Once you open, they get stuck. But how much frustrating it might be, you will still find an email of all the professors, and just email them telling that you're interested in working at their lab for one summer, and they love to host undergraduate students. And there is another good internship opportunity at ISC Bangalore that is for electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and material science students. It's offered by SENSE. It's a nanotechnology department at IISc Bangalore. And this is extremely competitive. I remember in our batch, 30 of us got selected. And I got selected for this, but I didn't accept this. I did my internship at CERN that time. Nevertheless, before I proceed to my internship and how I applied there, I want to tell what are the requirements to apply for each of these research internships. First and foremost, you need to find a lab that is willing to host you. And you have to email professors directly and wait for the professor to reply. If he doesn't reply in your first email, email him again after 2-3 days. And you have to calculate, if it's a foreign professor, if he's from France, you have to email at that time where he enters his office at 8 o'clock in the morning, there at France. So you have to calculate the time in India. So that's how you have to email all foreign professors out there. Then the second is that you have to write a strong research proposal, and don't be ashamed to get it proofread by others. So research proposal is something like I did with my smart chair, the prototype that I had pitched all across different IITs. And that is a research proposal where you just read what is not there in the existing literature, and you say that you can contribute there. And that's your research proposal. And you must get strong recommendation letters from professors or employers. Any place you have worked before, be it a small facility where you probably did a clerical job. Even if that manager is willing to give you a recommendation letter, that is also a recommendation letter. Get strong recommendation letters from your professors, course professors, or anyone. Maintain a standard GPA, CGPA. So 8.5 and up in an engineering is just fine. But many of you are good almost all of you will be able to keep it above 9. It's just in engineering, you don't need to study, and you just get above 9 GPA just like that. And if possible, this is really important, gain some research experience at your own university. Convince your own engineering university professors to help you gain some research experience, and literally pressurize them to help you get included in some publications. And that really helps with any foreign internship applications. And that's all. So I did my research internship at CERN in 2017. And this was me, where I traveled probably 100 kilometers down into the underground where the actual accelerators are located, with this helmet. And each of this helmet had an RFID tag. And at a time, probably not more than 40 people are allowed to work in the same premises. And all I did was, these were huge hard drives, and I had to extract data from these hard drives and analyze. So I was the engineer there. And CERN, most of you might have Googled out CERN and have learned how the LHC works or what happens there, what cosmic reactions happens there. But I went there as an electrical engineer. And here, this was the group with which I worked. And this tiny person here is me. This person is really huge at CERN experiments. She's Archana Sharma. And she manifested this CERN and India relationship. So every year, 4 students from India get selected to intern at CERN. And I was one of them that year. And she is the sole person there. She guides us and manifests this relationship. And what I did was, this was the GEM, or the gas electron modules, or GEM foils in short. So these were loaded in the CERN accelerators. So this is the accelerator, which is probably 127 kilometers long and spans across 2 countries, France and Switzerland, 127 kilometers in circumference. And these GEM foils, they are loaded there. And I need to probably just extracted the data out of these hard disk drives, which were collected from these GEM foils, and I analyzed the data. So my job was mostly a coding job, nothing hardware related, nothing fancy. All I did was collect the data and analyze it. And that's all I did for 3 months at CERN. And my experience, and at that time, if you remember, I was also the CTO and co-founder of WeCare. And clubbing these two experiences, Internashala again featured me at their website, which is again in this link. And you can just go here and read all about my experience out there. And luckily, this story, I don't know, probably in September 27 was also marked as the best internship story that year. Like Internashala kept on featuring me, and I kept on receiving prizes. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, this was the second time they featured me there. And so in CERN, like, yeah, my job was a lot different compared to what I do now in my PhD. But when I went to CERN, I realized why I wanted to do research. Other than it being fancy, other than you getting to contribute to different places, to different fields of work. Like, why I wanted to do research was you get to travel. So all the 3 months in my Europe in summer 2017, I traveled a lot. Like, none of the weekends I was there. I traveled to Amsterdam, Geneva, Paris, United Nations, and this was the place where the World Wide Web was born. It's a part in CERN, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to work, and I wanted a reason to travel, to visit new places. And that's how I wanted to apply for PhD positions outside meaning outside India. And here comes probably the last boring slide of this talk. Rest are all interesting. That is the PhD application procedure. So as I said, I was looking for opportunities outside, and even this was, I did this application in 2017 winter. And the requirements are pretty standard. Almost all colleges in US and Canada, they have these requirements. That is GRE exam, which is an exam out of 340. And you have to make sure you get a score greater than 320 plus. But GRE is not that important. There are several other things that are much more important than GRE. GRE is probably just a cutoff, or just something which is there, which they have to see. TOEFL or IELTS, it's an English language proficiency exam, which I'm pretty sure all of you will pass with flying colors. It's very easy. Any student in their class 1 or 2 can probably pass these exams. It's like they ask you to read English sentences, and they ask you to repeat that. That's how you're reading. That's how they judge your reading skill. They ask you to speak something in English. That's how they judge your speaking skills. But the next ones are really important. So the first is statement of purpose, why you're interested in joining PhD. So in your SOP, you have to write, it has to be strictly within 2 pages. And I have proofread several SOPs of my juniors, and I have realized no one literally gives it a thought that how important an SOP is. But an SOP is really important for these applications. It must include, the first paragraph must include why you are interested in pursuing this degree, what really inspired you. The next 2 paragraphs must include why you are really, like what you really did in your life and how is it connected to a PhD degree. And the last paragraph must include why you want to be in a PhD degree. Like what do you want to, how do you want to contribute in your PhD degree? So like writing an SOP is an art. It took me 6 months to write it, but yes, 2 pages, 6 months. I know it seems a lot, but it does take 6 months to write and proofread it. And the next is obviously CV and resume. So you should put all your internship plans, all skills that you gained, all courses that you did throughout your degree. And it must be strictly within 2 pages. Again, recommendation letters. 3 letters you need for your application, and they must be for professors from your internship. And your CGPA must be 8.5 and above. And the final point that I have written is publications from your undergraduate research. You may or may not have, you may be lucky, you may not be lucky. But if you have publications of your research, that's just great. And the steps is the steps in which you should apply is you have to shortlist the universities you're really interested. So make sure you really understand what the professor you're interested in, the university you're interested in, they really suit your research interest. So doing a PhD in a research lab is like marrying the lab, and make sure you're happy in that relationship. And if that lab is toxic, believe me, you're going to die. I have seen many of my friends who have discontinued PhD in their third year just because they just found the wrong lab for themselves. The advisor was not so good. The advisor just was toxic. They randomly pressurized them to work. So make sure you shortlist a university, shortlist professors, talk to professors beforehand. If you find anything that doesn't fit with your within your capability, just reject it. Don't be afraid of getting rejected. Instead reject it, because staying sane during a PhD is really important. And before applying to PhDs, what I did was I emailed professors that I was interested in conducting research with them. And if they replied me back or called me for an interview, I proceeded with an application towards their lab. And so as I said, it's email, keep on emailing. And that's how probably you'll find the professor of your dreams and the research lab of your dreams. So PhD is like marrying the lab, and you really must find a happy relationship, not a toxic one. And before I proceed to how my PhD is going, I promise you, this is the last boring slide, which is the funding opportunities in US. So you'll see many students go to the US to pursue MS, and that is master's after their bachelor's. And master's admits are rarely funded. I wouldn't say that they are not funded, because I know some universities, some labs, which does fund master's students. So once you join the university, you have to find a professor for research and convince them that you are capable of doing research, and get an RA and TA. RA is research assistant and TA is teaching assistant. You have to teach undergrad students, and eventually the university pays you. So that's how you can gain some amount of the funding, like some money to support you there, the living cost and everything. But PhD admits are always funded. It's either an RA, which the professor pays you, TA, which the university pays you, and fellowship, it's also the university pays you. And the most prestigious ones are the fellowships, because it pays you a lot. And it's just the university is investing in, it's like a university is investing in you. Even if you have results or no results, you have no worry of getting fired. So it's the most prestigious ones. It looks wonderful on your CVs. And these are all the funding opportunities, and there might be more. You might just have to go through the university websites. Opportunities are always coming up here and there. So I myself don't know what's there. And the last point is that email everyone, and compared to Indian professors in the foreign universities, they check their emails regularly. And if you can catch their attention, they are going to reply you. Even if it's a no, they are going to reply you. So, but Indian professors, I'm not so sure, because I haven't seen them replying to their students' emails also. So this is just from my experience. And with this, the funding opportunities just ends here. And so in 2018, I joined the University of Minnesota. And why I joined the University of Minnesota? Because of this person named Earl E. Bacon. He died within 2 months. I arrived at Minneapolis. He's the inventor of cardiac pacemakers and also the founder of Medtronic. Medtronic is the company which is the world's leading in terms of cardiac pacemakers, brain implants, and all other catheters. And so any implantable medical device you can think of, Medtronic is the one to go for. But then again, Minneapolis over the past 2 decades has harbored many medical device companies other than Medtronic, like Boston Scientific, Abbott, and many others, which you can see here. So it's become a hub, a medical alley of medical devices. And as I said that once I hated biology, but then due to a connection that I had gained during my engineering years with the field of medical devices and biology, I wanted to do something in medical device field, and getting an admit from the University of Minnesota, PhD admit from the University of Minnesota just gave me that opportunity. And that's how I finalized this decision here. Despite the fact that many of my seniors back in US and like literally everyone, when they heard that I was going to Minneapolis or Minnesota, they warned me of the winter. And I would say that winters are really harsh there. The Minnesota is this red colored state in the United States. It's in the Midwest, and the temperature drops to as low as minus 32 degrees C. It's as white as you see in this picture, and you can literally sleep on the snow. But it's not as beautiful as it looks in the pictures. We have to go to work there, drive there. Our cars skid, and many bad accidents happen in the winters. But still, this was the drawback of going to Minneapolis. Like for 4 months a year, from November to February, you have no life. It's just lab to house, house to lab, and that's it. Nevertheless, I'm happy there because I joined there because I wanted to contribute in the field of medical devices. And a little bit about my current work here, about my PhD work here. So just a little bit of background before I directly dive into it, what I do. So I am in the electrical department, and in that electrical department, this guy Bardeen, who was the first inventor of the transistors in Bell Laboratories, 1947. He was a Nobel Prize winner. He, like all three of them were Nobel Prize winners for discovering transistors. He was also a professor there for 1.5 years. So nevertheless, so transistors are the building units of your computers, as most of you might know. And this is how big the first transistor, which won the Nobel Prize, looked like in 1950. And fast forward 50 years, there were 10 to the power 9 transistors on a single Intel chip in a computer. And fast forward 20 years, there were 10 to the power 21 transistors in Intel i9 core in 2021. And that's how the Moore's law has progressed. As the days went, this Gordon E. Moore from IBM had predicted correctly that as the days will go, the number of transistors will continue to increase. The size of the transistors are going to decrease. And that's how it's going to happen. And believe me or not, currently, this Moore's law has saturated, and people in my field or the semiconductor industry, they are literally worried that how to push the Moore's law forward. So there are several ways, which I'm not going into right now. So the end goal for the research topic that I'm working is fit many devices into smaller regions, make things really small, design many things dump many things into smaller regions. More small things, the better it is. And the second is, very often than not, when you try making things small, the power consumption of running those devices increases. So you have to, at the same time, keep in mind, it consumes less power. So there is a trade-off. So getting these devices done, can you imagine the first transistor? How big is that? It's probably a centimeter, but these all fit 10 to the power 9 transistors in them. So probably they are like nanometers to micrometers, and 2021 transistors are definitely several nanometers. So how do you design these nanometer sized chips? How do you do them? They are only done in a nanofabrication facility or in the clean room where I work in. I make those nano devices. And this is the place where it's totally clean, probably the best place on earth to be in times of COVID. And we have been working with masks long before COVID happened with these bunny suits and gloves. And all we do is we pattern designs on these designs of the devices. We deposit several metals, semiconductors, ceramics, and we etch them away. And in this way, we design the devices. I know it's a bit hard to understand, but this is me. So these are the times where I wish I was a little bit taller. Never mind, but this is me, where like trying to fix this instrument such that I can get my experiment done. And this is how I melt gold. This is how the melted gold looks like at probably 1800 degrees C. And this is how the argon plasma looks like when I'm making my devices. And this is a flow chart that I built of one of the devices that I built from scratch. So at a time, to make one of these devices, it takes 7 days. And they're so small, but it takes 7 days. And my devices are all made of gold. But similarly, you can put silver, copper, whatever you like. But not exactly whatever you like. But yeah, there are limitations. But silver, copper, all of them are also possible. And this is a silicon wafer, which is the basis of all these fabrication procedures. And it's the place where I work. And this is the place to make nano devices. And I'm using these devices. So I'm the engineer who makes these devices, and the neurosurgeons and the biologists, they use my devices in the brain. And so my project is the University of Minnesota and Mayo Clinic collaboration. And this is me. This is the team. This is an old team back in January 2020. This guy is my visor, and this guy is the PI or the neurosurgeon from Mayo Clinic. And I don't know how many of you watched Grey's Anatomy on Netflix, but there has to be this scene where Derek Shepherd, he operated. I mean, this kind of surgery happens in real life too. So this Derek Shepherd, this character, he operated on a human being with the human being was playing the violin, and he operated in the operation theater. He operated on his brain while he was playing the violin. And in my first meeting with this guy back in 2019, I learned that he can do the same surgery. And I was like, wow, dreams do come true. And so I have been working with them like for the past 2 years. And these are the devices that I've been making. This is my entire PhD thesis work, where in any brain surgery where you try to implant electrical electrodes, I'm trying to replace those electrical electrodes, conventional electrodes, with my devices, which I believe are better in terms of several points. I'll come to that later, but this is how my devices look like. And in the clean room, I have made these devices. They're really tiny. They're about, each of them are about 100 micrometers in diameter and in cross section. And each of these coils, they're basically micrometer sized coils or solenoids. And since most of you are in your +2, you are very familiar with Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, where when you pass a time-varying current through these coils, you generate a time-varying magnetic field, which in turn induces an electric field represented by these red-colored lines. And this induced electric field is actually used to stimulate the brain. And this is the neuron or the cells of the brain. And my research on live rats, yes, after being an electrical engineer, I deal with rats, but yes, my research on rats, they have shown that these coils, they can activate at a single cell resolution They are MRI safe. That means a patient implanted with my devices, they do not need to, they won't undergo any heating effect in the brain. And they are highly biocompatible. That means like the current electrodes, which are being used for surgeries currently, they need to be replaced every 2 years because the adjacent cells do not react well to these implants. But the implants that I have designed, they do not cause any such issue. So that means they are biocompatible. So these are the reasons why I am still working in this device, and it's totally my creation. And this has itself led to 2 patents back in US. And this is all about my thesis work, like working on very basic physics, that is Faraday's law, which all of you know, but it's just me who gets to make the devices with all the fancy facilities available there. And once you do something really innovative, where no one in the world has done, and you are being supported and funded by top medical companies, you start getting awards, conferences, start attending conferences, start winning best poster awards. And very recently, Cadence, which is a very big semiconductor company, awarded me the Women in Technology Scholarship. So these things keep on happening. These are just to remind you, okay, not everything is bad in research, not everything is depressing. But yes, there is still hope. You still have hope to go on. And this is probably the last slide about my work, and that is about my summer 2022 plans. So very recently, I got an internship at Seagate. So many of you must be knowing what is Seagate. Seagate is a company that manufactures these hard disk drives. So this hard disk drive that I am holding here, the Seagate, they manufacture these drives, and so they are memory devices. And the way these drives are actually made is using a technology called photolithography. So photo means light, and lithography means painting or carving on stone. So I use light to actually pattern my devices. So as you can see this hole over here, that is where I keep my devices. And I put a photosensitive chemical or photoresist. And then what I do is I program this device, and this device just passes UV light on my device, on my samples. And this UV light patterns my devices. So these photoresists, they change their chemical composition on coming in contact with UV light, and that's how I can design my devices. So at Seagate, I still don't know what I'll be working on. All I know that I'll be working on this, and this is what I'll be doing. I'll be just I'll be the photolithography process intern, where I'll design new processes for the same technology. And I'm looking forward to this summer next year. And apart from this, apart from work, I think it's really important to have a life. And this is what my life in US comprises of. And once 3 years ago, when I started my life alone back in US, without any family, without knowing anyone there, I assure you it's going to be challenging. And there is no one to support you for anything. You have no one. You just know a lab. You just know your advisor who will demand work from you. But there is you don't know what to do. And this is how slowly over the past 3.5 years, I built a life out there, where I have traveled in almost all holidays and made use of conferences to Vegas just to travel to Grand Canyon, and taken few weekends off to go on road trips here and there, learned how to cook. So literally every PhD student who goes and lives in the US alone learns how to cook delicious meals, and go fishing, ice fishing, biking, anything. Think of any fun activity, I have probably done them. And I'm also glad that being in US, I found a group where I can still continue dancing. And this is from my last performance back there in fall this year. And that's how I have built my life there. And this is my last slide. And with this, I'm open to additional questions.
We would now like to proceed by beginning with the interactive session. So, dear students, you are now welcome to raise hands and ask your queries. All right, Mahima, you may proceed with your question.
So you are pursuing a career in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering in the United States, and you have also worked in different countries. In your field, is there any significance of coding languages? If yes, then which coding languages are in demand?
So currently, like worldwide, it's Python, where every I don't know if you're aware of it. Like every field now demands machine learning and artificial intelligence, and every code in machine learning and artificial intelligence, in order to get it accepted, you need to write it in Python. No matter how many other XYZ languages you know, it's just Python. And in my field, I am an experimentalist. And I don't need to do the hardcore coding, but I still have to do a little bit amount of coding, mainly in MATLAB or LabVIEW or any other softwares, like which have an interface with the experimental setups. So basically, what the coding that I do is mainly embedded systems. So to answer your question, worldwide there is a need for Python.
Thank you.
Ishita, you may now proceed with your question.
My question to you is, can brain stimulation cure psychological disorders like borderline personality disorder or schizophrenia, normally the ones which do not have a cure or treatment?
Currently, it doesn't. I mean, the brain stimulation, the devices that I'm making, they have only been tested on rats. Obviously, to test on humans, it's going to be another 50 years. Probably I'm not in this world anymore then. But the previous brain stimulation devices, they are also being investigated there. But in borderline personality disorder or schizophrenia, it's always drugs that are being used. I'm not aware of exactly stimulation techniques that have been successful or FDA approved in these scenarios, but drugs are still working, but not stimulation techniques.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Sanjukta, you may proceed with your question.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to ask about the 2-meter tall Nataraj statue that is installed in the premises of CERN, which is considered to be a metaphor drawn between the cosmic dance of Nataraj and the cosmic dance of the subatomic particles. So I would like to know, how did this inspiration behind the unification of the mythological belief and the religious art with the modern physics come about?
So yeah, like I probably have that picture of me standing in front of Nataraj. So yeah, this is the Nataraj picture at CERN, and this was me. And so about the Nataraj and the cosmic dance, the dance of Nataraj and the cosmic particles that CERN does the research in. So this is the LHC, or the Large Hadron Collider, which I said is 127 kilometers in circumference. And it spans across 2 countries, France and Switzerland. And so like there are several points, as you can see: ALICE, ATLAS, LHCb, CMS. So these are different experiments. And by experiments, I mean different points where the collision happens. So like different beams of particles are actually sent, and it's at this point where the collision happens and it breaks into smaller subatomic particles. And I worked at ALICE during a time where this Hadron Collider was under shutdown. So in 20 years, probably 15 years, it's shut down or under maintenance. and only 5 years, it's probably doing some experiments. And so this Nataraj statue, I don't think, I'm not sure how true it is about the cosmic particle relation between cosmic particles and the dance of Shiva, but it actually unifies the diversity in CERN. CERN hosts a diverse community of researchers from all over the world, and majority of them are Indians. For instance, I don't know if you know the VECC, or Variable Electron Cyclotron Center at Kolkata, Salt Lake. So they are a collaborator at CERN. So during my stay there, I have met many scientists and physicists who are Bengalis, and they are from VECC, and they have gone there to do research there. And so this Nataraj was actually a gift from, as far as I know, it was a gift from India to pursue more collaboration with CERN and India. So yeah, maybe you're correct, but maybe not. But yeah, this is how it happened.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Sumedha, you may now proceed with your question.
My question to you is, can brain stimulation methods be applied on a 5-year-old kid? And if yes, then is there any difference between the stimulation methods applied on a kid and an adult?
Definitely, like pediatric brain surgery is a completely different field. And it's like the reason why kids, like, again, I'm an engineer and I'm not a doctor, and this is a more medical related question, but from what I have learned from doctors is that even the neurosurgeons whom I work with, they are not so comfortable operating on kids, because kids always react differently to any stimuli, or any surgery that you do. So yes, like, to answer your question, yes, it will be different, but how different, I don't know.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on, Vanisha, you may ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, what advice would you offer to students of our age so that we can make the most out of the academic opportunities that the field of science offers in India and abroad?
So at your age, like, I don't know how you are at 18, but at 18, I myself was confused. And I wanted to do a lot of things at the same time when I was 18. So my first advice would be slow down. You have an entire life ahead of you to probably think around your career. And I know 9, 10, 11, 12, these 4 years are probably the career building years, and you have to study in your +2 years. But after that, no matter which college you get in, wherever you get in, you have to fight your way to the top. So it's not an easy journey, and no one is going to hand you a job. No one is going to hand you skills. You have to gain them yourself. And this is one particular suggestion that I want to make as a woman in this career, because with women working in science and technology field, it's tough being a woman in this field, because as I progress my career ladder, like as I climb my career ladder from school through college, through PhD, I have seen the number of women in my field, they get reduced. And I frankly, I never found the reason behind it. I don't know why. But at the same time, I have seen that women are questioned more than men. And it's just not me. I have many female friends who are in the same field, and I have asked them, and I have talked to them literally, that are you being questioned more when you try to give a suggestion? She said, yes, definitely. And our suggestions are sometimes cross-validated by another male person. And this is sometimes very disheartening, as much as it feels that I might be making that up, but no, it's not the case. And I feel it's high time that these things be brought up in public, and these things we start talking about, and the reason why I brought this is that all of you have been in an all-girls school, and you don't know what goes on in a male person's head as of now. So, like, working in a co-ed environment, it's not always what you expect, and that's it. Like, for women, it's a step harder, and we are always questioned every step. And at 25, what happens is that, like, when you start applying for jobs, like, you are offered less salary. And it is true. Like, even in US, I have to fight a lot to get an equal pay than my male peers. So I have started talking about my salary with others, that how much are you getting paid? So it is still a fact that women are paid less than male. And so this is an advice to all the girls, that cross-validate your salaries, whatever you get in future, whether immediately after your bachelor's or immediately after a huge professional degree, cross-validate it, because there is a discrimination which exists worldwide. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Shomili, you may ask your question.
The CERN is the site of the world's largest and the most powerful particle oscillator, the Large Hadron Collider. How does the LHC primarily work in the nuclear science field? Every great thing has its own advantage and disadvantage. Has there been any challenge being faced due to this LHC technology?
Yes, so as I said, that, like, CERN is actually a collaboration between engineers, physicists, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, technicians. Like, it's a human wonder, this LHC, as I said. And it's not just physicists who are active there, it's several technicians, several electrical engineers, mechanical engineers who are actually building this entire prototype. And a few minutes ago, I told that this entire prototype, in 20 years, probably 15 years, they are shut down. And by the time I visited CERN, it was in a shutdown mode. It was repairing. They were changing some gem foils at ALICE. I don't know what was happening at CMS or EliteCB or Atlas. They were in a different country. But at ALICE, they were changing the gem foils. And before they changed the gem foils, they were just trying to obtain the data from their previous experiment, which was probably run 2 years ago. So at this age, I know it feels a bit weird, like something, an experiment shut down for 15 years, really? But yes, that is how big things happen. And after all, we have to realize that at these points, like, high energy particles are colliding. They are of tera electron volt, and just imagine the kind of heat that is generating. So they are trying to replicate how the Earth formed with all the collision and all. And like at CERN, like, they're trying their best. Like, the time that it goes into it, the challenges that they face is trying to cool the entire system down. So cooling is an important technology at CERN.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sneha, you may proceed with your question.
Ma'am, did you ever feel lost in your journey? How did you find your way again?
So, like, getting lost in my journey, I mean, I'm still lost. I don't know what I'll do after my PhD, but, like, it's always it's a journey. And, like, once you're out of school, there will be several instances where you'll feel lost. Like, while pursuing a degree, you'll be lost as to what next, where you're finding a job. And once you're in a job, you'll be lost how to get promoted next. And in my journey, like, probably the first time I felt I was lost was during applying for foreign internships, as I told. And that my journey of getting lost has been, I have chalked it down well, and Internshala has probably featured me well in that case. And my sister knows how much I cried for not getting into any foreign internships in the first half of my application. And but then gradually I forced myself to believe that maybe, like, not getting into one is not the end. Maybe you have several other doors open. And probably at that age, it feels a lot that getting rejected by something is huge. But fast forward 4 years or maybe 3 years, I have been rejected by so many places, but I don't feel sad anymore. And it's just rejection is a process, and that is the only tagline that you probably have to keep in mind, that getting rejected is also an art. If you don't get rejected, you probably won't get accepted. You won't know your flaws. So yeah, you will face roadblocks. So you have to make sure you cry. You just know you just need to express how you feel and then move on. So that's how it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shaha, for sharing your valuable inputs with our students. I am sure our students are certainly benefited. I shall now request Sarah to give the vote of thanks.
Today's session was truly enlightening and encouraging for all of us. Thank you, Ms. Renita Shaha, for taking time out of your busy schedule and being with us here today. On behalf of all of us, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for sharing your expertise and experience with us today. Your thoughts and guidance will surely impact our lives and be of great importance to us. I would like to extend my gratitude to our mentor, Ma'am Mohta, our principal, Ma'am Shaha, our vice principal, Ma'am Ghosh, and our teachers for organizing this informative session. I would also like to thank my fellow classmates for being so enthusiastic and lively. Lastly, I would like to extend my gratitude to our school's technical team for being the backbone of this virtual platform of learning and ensuring the smooth functioning of today's event. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was excellent, Renata. And I think we should also thank Ms. Sharma for patiently putting up the entire session. Okay, so let us end the session. Thanks once again.
Thank you so much. It was really